Good morning.
It's been a difficult week, Rebecca.
A very difficult week. I mean, these are things you don't ever think will happen. Yeah. Because, I mean, I know we've had theft at schools, right? We've had, you've put in new equipment, we know, and then the next day those things were gone. But do you actually expect to have a robbery at a school? And you know, why, how brazen is that?
Unfortunately, Rebecca, I know every weekend, on Monday, I'll get a report that there's been a robbery in one of our schools.
Yeah.
It's starting to be the order of the day. Purely because banks have strengthened their security arrangements, businesses have strengthened their security arrangements, households have strengthened their security arrangements. So the only sitting ducks are churches, clinics, and schools.
And what do you hope to get out of a school? Yes, I know that there's some high-tech equipment, but to actually go in the day when there are pupils in class for 8,000 rand. And
carry a AK-47. So it means that you just want to unleash that terror to our kids and expose our kids to horrendous acts of people changing gunpowder and gunfire and all those things. So it was shocking yesterday, to be quite frank. You know, when I went inside that school and I see bullet shells all over there and saying should be writing pens or calculators rather than have bullets inside the school premises.
Well, it seems, you know, that on the face of it, you have to ask who would know that there was 8,000 rand, who would know that there was money there for a school trip. And Kema Kabele is saying, yes, they will investigate whether this was an inside job as well.
We're also encouraging our schools to start to minimize the use of cash in our schools. It's quite clear. If you check, the two schools were robbed yesterday, and Noken Park High and Edenvale. It's quite clear that someone is using inside information for our ulterior motives, because with Noken Park High...
that was earlier in the day, right? Yeah.
Early in the morning, somebody went to cash money so that they can utilize it for other activities within the school premises.
Was that a staff member, that person?
It was a staff member, yes.
So somebody somewhere knows. And you say this school is right next to a police station. I mean, how bizarre and ironic is that?
Edenvale and Edenvale Police Station, they literally share a fence.
Yeah.
Literally. They're just next door. For somebody to think they can just go to a school that is next to the police station and try to rob that particular school, it's just senseless, to be quite frank.
And then what happens now? Yes, you want to minimize the use of cash, but what do we do to keep the kids safe? Because at, you say, another school last week, we heard about the 18-year-old being shot by a stray bullet. Also, you say now it was an attempted robbery.
In the same vicinity.
How do you protect kids in that, where bullets are just coming through windows?
Well, we'll be tempted to say let's have armed security guards. It's something that I really don't think that it will assist us, because then these armed security guards, people will come looking for those weapons. We just have to allow law enforcement agencies to really prioritize schools, whether when they patrol, also to respond swiftly when you call them, when you see something wrong. So we have to leave it within the law enforcement agencies. Our mandate is to educate our learners, and let's concentrate on that particular mandate. But any other person that is trained, that has the capability to protect us, they must play their role and really protect us. We are indeed sitting ducks of criminals. Criminals just feel that if you go to a school, you'll get whatever that you want to get and you'll walk away. And yesterday it was a very good lesson to all these criminals that if you come to our schools, police will react, and they will react swiftly.
I just want to ask you, I'm not sure if you are aware of this story, it's just come up here. Police monitoring the streets of the Joburg CBD after a video showing a schoolboy being brutally stabbed went viral. Have you seen that?
I was. It's brazen. I mean, how do you
Four
take
guys stabbing one
lane, and they leave that. And what worries me is that cars are just passing there, and pedestrians were just passing that poor child.
And robbing him of what, you have to wonder?
That I'm saying.
What would you be robbing one?
It's brazen. It's really... So but you have to take the fight against criminals. They must know that this is a constitutional state, and that when you do this kind of things, police have to really arrest them and deal with them decisively.
So what do you do now with schools? Do we look at those windows? Do we look at electric fencing? How do we actually, for people who come in and pose as parents, I mean, how do you make that distinction also? That's a new modus operandi.
That's a problem.
What are your plans?
No, our plans is just to bring the police force next to each and every school. We've already started that program, where at least 5 of our schools are located or are linked to a police station, so that the police station can get a phone call from the either school principal or the SGB member, so that they know when they get this kind of a call from this kind of a person is an emergency. And that's what assisted us with Edenvale yesterday. So we're continuing with that program. The problem, majority of our schools are getting old. So you can't try to put fancy things like face recognition CCTVs or electric fence, and when you have to repair the school itself, you know.
Yeah.
So our priorities now is just to strengthen our schools, but the new schools that we are building, we're putting in this kind of things.
And panic buttons and all of that.
Alarms, panic buttons, and face recognition CCTVs, so that we can protect those particular schools.
And like you say, though, the irony, you have a police station right next door.
Just next door.
Well, look, on the upside, I suppose no children were harmed this time around.
No children were harmed.
But the story of that pupil who was the victim of that stray bullet, that is indeed very worrying. And then just the other stories, we have the matric student who just collapsed and died.
It was shocking. I went to meet with the parents yesterday just to see that police car coming in to collect the body was really heartbreaking. The information at our disposal is that learners went for physical training, like they do that every Thursday. And unfortunately, this particular learner collapsed. And when the school tried to assist, they could see that it's late.
And had he been ill before that? Were there any signs that he was not well?
No signs. There are some contradicting stories that I've picked up yesterday. I'm working closely with the police because when the paramedics arrived at the scene, when they declared the learner dead, in their report, they say it's unnatural. And that worried me. And if it's unnatural, it means something is wrong. So we are checking all likelihoods. And it's just unfortunately, due to religious beliefs, the family felt that they need to bury before sunset. So we had to rush the body to do some tests. So those tests will come out later.
Okay, so when you say unnatural, just from what you know, MEC, he was not attacked or harmed by another person?
No, not attacked, not harmed. Right. But what I got when I arrived at the school, there's some learners that said, some learners gave this particular learner, when he said he was not well, some medication. And then we are not sure. Yes, we are not sure. We tried to get the CCTV footage. Unfortunately, the camera facing that side of the field was not working. So we're just collecting data, but the police are at the scene. I'm going to join them later this morning so that they can give us the relevant information so that we can share that with the family. And then just a 13-year-old who committed suicide after being bullied on WhatsApp. What's the latest on that case? There was a memorial service yesterday. It's sad. I mean, I know the funeral is over the weekend. We're trying to make arrangements to send some of our staff members there. But we've commissioned a report. I received the report yesterday. I'm going through that report. I can assure the family and society at large that whoever is implicated in that report will act decisively. Have they managed to identify the bullies in this? Well, we've identified the bullies. We've also identified that there is a teacher where the child went to that teacher to report the matter. And there was just miscommunication between the deputy principal and this particular teacher. The other one thought the other one is handling it. The other one thought the other one is handling it. And in that process, a life was lost, and we can't just leave it. And so many issues, I mean, there's many elements to that one. And then very quickly, just about a week ago, that video coming out in Littleton, I think it was, the boy and the girl involved in that fight. Oh, yes, we suspended them, both of them immediately. I know there's a disciplinary hearing that is going on. We've sent a very strong message. That was shocking. It is shocking. I mean, all of this is shocking, but that was on a different level also. That's the society that we're in, where people believe they can resolve their differences through violence. We can't allow that, and we can't allow it within the school premises. So we immediately suspended both of them, and the disciplinary hearing will indicate whether we can go ahead and expel them. But we just have to find a mechanism of discouraging learners from fighting. But they must know you fight within the school premises, you'll stay at home. But that was just particularly violent. Especially when it's a primary school, that's what shocked me. Goodness. And then very quickly, I can't let you go without asking the Vanderbijl Park School, the walkway collapse. Where are we in investigations there, or what's happening there? Well, I've got a report. I was given the full report. That's indicated what are the reasons. I'm also working with the law enforcement agencies, and I can also confirm that a legal firm has stepped up, representing families that is suing the department on this particular matter. And the Human Rights Commission has also stepped in. They've summoned us to appear before the Human Rights Commission, and they will cooperate with all those investigations so that we can. But we have our own report, and we are going to release that report next week. Gosh, MEC, and it's only February.
What a year.
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
7
It's only
weeks.
7 weeks, and that's what he's had to deal with.
7
Well, we'll
weeks, yeah.
get the updates. Thank you very much for
Thanks,
that.
thanks
That's
a
Gauteng
lot.
Education, MEC Panyaza Lesufi.